Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Bloody Jacob here to bring you my weekly review of The Walking Dead. And this week's episode was episode 15 of season 5, the episode before the finale. It was entitled Try. And if you guys can't hear it in my voice right now, I'm a little bit ill right now. Stuffy nose, sore throat. So my voice isn't exactly the greatest, so I haven't been really feeling the best in general lately. So this review isn't going to really be quite what it usually is each week I do it. So you're going to get a kind of a condensed version of what I usually put out for you each week the show airs. And I apologize for that ahead of time. I'm sorry, but that's something I can focus for as long as I usually do. 20 minutes plus most weeks, so I'm going to condense a little bit more right now. But I did still want, even though this is a lesser version of my usual reviews, I did want to get my thoughts out there on the episode nonetheless. And I should hopefully be better for the review for the season 5 finale next week, which I'll dive into no matter what. So you can still look forward to that. And I still hope you enjoy my thoughts I do go over here. Sorry for that shaking. Not one of my favorite episodes of the second half of season 5. I think season 5B, and when I say 5B, I mean the second half, and 5A would of course be the first half. But not one of my favorite episodes of 5B so far, but it was a solid episode nonetheless. I don't think that Walking Dead ever actually has a really bad episode. I mean, there are ones like Still, and ones like that are a little bit lesser than usual, but even those are still within the pretty close to a 7 or something like that. Whereas with The Walking Dead, the worst we usually get from it are 8 episodes in my 8 rated episodes in my opinion. But this is still a very good episode, and actually turned into a good lead-in for the finale next week, which will be titled Conquer. Yeah, I'm stuffed up right now, I'm sorry. But, so far, I'll give my thoughts when the season's... more of my thoughts on this when the season's over. But, I actually think season 5 has been overall better than season 4, as of right now. I guess I'll think about that a little bit more, and there were great episodes in season 4, don't get me wrong. There was, Too Far Gone, the mid-season finale, of course, one of, if not the best episode of The Walking Dead ever. But at least definitely one of them. And then, I actually like those 2 episodes before with the governor, Live Bait, and I forget the second one's title, but you know what I'm talking about. And, there are really good ones like that, but overall I think season 5 has been much more consistent and much more focused in a certain way as well. And just overall a more interesting and exciting season, so, yeah. But I might do more of a general Walking Dead season video once I'm done reviewing the finale next week, but we'll see when that time comes. And yeah, of course, the main part of this episode is Rick dealing with Pete and the whole Jessie situation. And before we get to that, I did want to mention some other little things about it. I did write my little write-up I always posted on spoilthedead.com on most weeks. That's I'm named Bloody Jacob on there too, in case you were actually wondering. But I usually post my little write-ups on there that I post in the description of my videos. And so I did there are also notes I can use too. But before we get to the Rick thing, I did want to talk about some other little things about the episode. Of course, Sasha's psychology. Her sort of going off on her own, staying in the tower all day and night, except when Abraham, they said Abraham went and took over for her. But apparently Sasha went off on her own and she started, hunting walkers. And, I don't know, I find her psychology in this intriguing, and I understand why she's acting like this, because, as I said in a previous video, her and almost every other member of the group are, getting that effects of readjusting themselves to a normal life after everything they've seen in the show so far. And so I get where she's at, but I don't know, I just don't like the character of Sasha that much, to be completely honest. And especially when Michonne and Rosita tracked her down her attitude towards them was just really immature. It came off pretty annoying to me. So it's like I get it, but yeah, it still irks me. You know what I mean? But I do get it, and thus I do still find it interesting in a way. But in all honesty, Sasha's not a character I'd care about dying or not. But I did like Michonne and Rosita's conversation as they were trying to find Sasha, though. Them sort of talking about the symbolism of, Michonne not taking her sword and what that means, and what part of her life that represents for her. And Rosita pointing out that she apparently doesn't need that anymore. And it was also really cool to see Michonne, of course, actually use a gun, and she's apparently a good shot now too. Because as we've seen when one of the governor's assaults on the prison in season 3, when he drove that truck full of walkers into it, he didn't drive it, but they had that thing, run down the gates and stuff. Michonne, she had like M16 or something, and she was shown not to be a very great shot. But apparently she can still hold her own. It's a pistol, and she's dealt with plenty of walkers already, so she's going to be cool enough to be able to aim it for all those headshots. So Michonne being going with a gun, I buy, even though we haven't seen her use one that often. So it's not like in a case of like Beth or someone like that who we haven't really seen do anything, and all of a sudden So it's not a case of Beth where we see her all of a sudden shooting walkers in the head and nailing headshots in the dark. With Beth, I just couldn't buy her being that skilled all of a sudden. And same thing with Carol in certain ways. All of a sudden she goes full Rambo, and you haven't seen her really deal with that many things. But again, don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing. This isn't about bashing Carol here, even though I'm not as crazy about her as others are. I do really appreciate her development from where she's come from season 1, and from Ed and the abuse she took from that, and how she's grown as a character. But yeah, let's not turn this into a Carol video, so I'm trying to get through this kind of quickly. But if you want, you can comment and we can discuss it further. I can type a lot easier than I can talk clearly right now, so that was all good. Well, yeah, it was interesting. And Carl and Enid actually had a nice little adventure. Carl still trying to follow her, and her actually being aware that he's been doing that, and she finds it creepy. And so they actually hide in this hollowed out tree from a group of walkers, and that wasn't really the smartest idea, because if those walkers find out they're there somehow, if they hear them or if they sense or smell them, whatever they do to know they're confined in the smallest space possible. So that could have turned pretty ugly pretty quickly had it gone wrong whatsoever. But nonetheless, I sort of like seeing Carl interact and connect with another character outside of your Rick or your Michonne, really. So I sort of liked him finding a person to be able to talk to, you know what I mean? And as far as Enid herself goes, I don't know, something's a little bit sketchy about her. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Some people have a theory that she's connected to this group who we keep on seeing has carvings of the W on the walkers' foreheads. Some people feel like she's like a mole or a rat, that was planted there by them. But I think that's possible, but we'll see. But I think there's more to her that we haven't really gotten into yet. So we'll probably find out something more about that at some point soon, I'm guessing. And I also like Glenn's moment with Nicholas, sort of confronting him when we sort of see Glenn, telling Rick his, true side of things, what actually happened in last week's episode, Spend, as far as what happened to Noah and Aiden. And, of course, Rick really believes Glenn, and I really like that one-on-one Rick and Glenn had. And of course, we see Nicholas on the tape talking to Deanna, and he's just completely spinning the story the complete opposite way of how it actually happened. And, he's making up all these lies, saying, I wanted to save Aiden, I want to leave without him, but they pushed and they tried to kill me, and they pushed that door and they tried to kill me and stuff like that. But, all the good that does. But Glenn actually confronts Nicholas over it, and, just pretty much puts him in his place, which I thought was really badass of Glenn. And I've always liked Glenn. I've never disliked him. And sorry about that. That's what happens when dinner's being made in the other room. But so I'll have to rush this a little bit. But I did like, I really like Glenn this season a lot. I like the refocus on him we've been getting. I just hope that doesn't mean he's dying. I don't want Glenn to die. No. But, yeah, and Steven, I can't pronounce his last name, I'm sorry, but, Steven, the guy who plays Glenn, he does a great job. He's done a great job all the way through, and it'd be a loss to the show if we didn't have him on. But, okay, so there's that. And, of course, Daryl and Aaron, finding them dismembered body parts. Again, with more walkers with that W carved into their forehead. Of course, people are talking about that group called the Wolves. I think it is a new group we're going to be meeting at some point soon in the finale or at the beginning of Season 6, but I think it's going to come up in the finale. And we see those dismembered body parts, and we've seen that woman who was stripped, probably raped, and, she was tied to a tree, and, just walkers, nearby came and, disemboweled her and ate her pretty much, which was really sad. But, of course, Daryl had to put her down when she came back. And which is funny because Carol, that's pretty much what Carol said she'd do to Sam. Tie him to a tree and, he'd scream, but the only thing that would come would be monsters. So that's kind of ironic in a gruesome way. But, yeah, of course, that's pretty much all I want to talk about besides the main thing. And, of course, Rick finally confronting Pete over, him abusing Jessie. And, we hear Carol describe more of what Sam told her about, Jessie locking Sam in rooms at night and, not letting him out till morning because of what's going on between them, how he'd hear Jessie crying and, he'd find her laying on the floor. And Rick finally confronts Pete over that. We see a tense scene of them when Rick almost shoots him on the spot the night before, but he confronts him in the daytime. And, Jessie actually sort of gives him permission to do what he has to do. Just say yes, and she said yes. And so they erupt into this fight, this really brutal and intense fight. I didn't expect it to be this, Did I buy Pete being able to give Rick a challenge like he did in the episode? Kind of, but not really. Because Pete came in, and when he seen Rick and Jessie together, he was sort of drunk, sort of sloppy. But again, Pete's a big guy, so I could see the struggle with it too. And Rick's not, like a martial arts expert or a super secret spy or anything like that. So he's a real guy, so there's going to be a challenge with it. And, Rick actually does get the upper hand on Pete eventually. And I really liked Alexandria Breckenridge's portrayal of Jessie in this. It's her reaction to how Rick's trying to help her and her, doubts about it and just all her feelings regarding what's going on with the situation. I really think it's realistic. I just really like her portrayal. I just hope Jessie's around for a while. And, so Rick gets the advantage over Pete in a very intense fight scene. And, everyone, Glenn comes running, everyone else from the community, Deanna and stuff like that. And Rick sort of makes this whole speech about, them not being able to see what they have to do to survive, basically. They don't see the world for what it is, but they do. And I can't do him justice, but Andrew Lincoln's acting in the scene is just phenomenal. I've always thought him as the best actor on the show, but he just really stole it here. And he was right on all levels, but granted, he was losing his head a bit. He was getting a little bit out of control, especially when he pushed Carl and, pulled his gun and was kind of waving it around. And Michonne actually comes up from behind him and, knocks him out. And a lot of people are freaking out about this. I think that's unwarranted. Some people are calling her disloyal, and some people actually call her much more immature, inappropriate words. I don't think Michonne's disloyal. I just think she knew that situation is going to keep on spinning and spinning out of control, and so she just sort of had to stop him, and just give him a chance to think again, when he wakes up and stuff. So Rick was right on all points. I don't think there's a single member in that group that can say he isn't right about anything he said. He was right, but he's just going about it the wrong way. Again, sort of like Shane. A bunch of people draw comparisons between Rick and Shane all the time. And while I don't think Rick's gone as quite off the deep end as Shane, I think he has been embracing Shane's idea of what they have to do to survive in this world for a while now. At least for the past season or two, he's embraced Shane's ideology, which is really ironic, of course. But, so I think Rick has snapped a little bit, but I don't think he's completely gone yet either. He's still not too far gone. There still are Rick we can, pull back from this. And he was right anyway. His presentation was all wrong. Sort of like what Andrea said to Shane back in Season 2. He has the right ideas, but his presentation is what's missing. But yeah, great episode, and yeah, so I can't wait for next week's finale. I'll hopefully be feeling better by then, but either way, I'll be doing a video on it. And I'm sorry for the lesser quality of this one and the lesser time, but still, I hope you guys enjoyed this. A very good episode. Not one of my favorites of the second half of Season 5, but still a very good one and a good lead into the finale. So yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Can't wait for next week's finale. Can't believe it's already almost over until October again. But yeah, catch you guys next time, and peace.